like a fed people, and welcome to Sound 88, your place to get the confidence to try things yourself. My name is Henry Frank, I'm a music producer, and welcome to the show. Man,
Y'all ready?
today I'm gonna go over some things that a lot of us probably can relate, especially if you've lived in the Caribbean, not necessarily just Haiti, but if you lived in the Caribbean or even you lived in the 2000s, there's a lot of things that you can relate. So today's video is about my upbringing in Haiti. So I'm gonna be name dropping a lot of my friends, and some of them might not even realize that they had some way, somehow, an impact on my musical journey, because a lot of people back then didn't really know that I made music, especially in Haiti, because I didn't really. Besides the last 2 weeks of me living in Haiti, that's when I actually started making beats. And when I moved here, was a whole different storyline. Y'all stay right there. Because I gotta have a little storyline, because I have a lot of people that I want to mention and the show today, because like I said, man, they had some type of impact on me at some point, and I'm talking about like people like definitely the Scorpion, obviously, is like my brother. Bricks was like my brother. Then you have people like Power Surge, Noel Z, Breda, who used to be named Two-Face before. You got Jean-Max Valcourt, Madman JP, Baidu Joseph. Like, for instance, Baidu Joseph, he won't even realize, he probably won't even remember that little part that he played in my journey. But he did, and a lot of these people, Christian Surina, there's so many people to name. But I'm not gonna waste time too much. I'm gonna actually try to go over the story, and hopefully, you guys can enjoy that. Let me see here. Need to connect that, but we'll go ahead and run with it. All right, so let me go back a couple years. We're talking about a few decades. That's when my age gonna show up. So we're talking about probably 1998, 1999. That's how far I'm gonna go. So around that time, I was 13-ish, 12, 13. So around that time, the reason I want to start with that time is because that had nothing to do with music. Because back then was, me and my friend, Adley Louchel, he's like man, he's my day one. Him, Kostif and Jerome, Nick Guillaume, and Elvis Abila. Man, that was back in Saint Louis Gonzague. It's like talking about just playing FIFA, just playing soccer all the time. So the whole music thing was not even in my radar whatsoever. Like we used to just pass our video games around, or at during lunchtime. Nothing like Saint Louis, just playing like soccer over and over and over again. But anyway, so around I would say probably that was like mid 1999. I started realizing my ways of like trying to go out and trying to think outside the box, or trying new things, really. And that started with Manchester United. So around that time, so 1999, I had cable. So one of the games that they kept playing, because around that time, like everybody would be watching Italian football, from Juventus, Lazio, like things like that, because a lot of the best players in Europe or from South America would be playing in an Italian series. So while I was a big fan of Brazil, and I respect all the Argentina fans, and especially with Messi now, it's crazy. But back then it was a lot of Ronaldo and Ronaldinho and stuff like that. So as I had cable, watching going through the channels, so I had ESPN they were just replaying that one game, a team with a red shirt and a white short, and constantly playing that game. Now I'm like, why do they keep playing this game? Like, I don't even know these teams. If I recognized them, if they were like Italian teams, I would probably watch it. But I was like, what? Like, why do they keep playing this game? So I decided to finally watch a part of it, which was the ending, the last 5 minutes, and realized it was Manchester United against Bayern Munich. That was actually the finals of the Champions League 1999. Historic final, but I didn't know at the time. So I watched it and realized how Bayern Munich was winning 1-0 the whole time. And within the last 3 minutes of the game, like, boom, Manchester United equalized. Boom. They took over and they won the final. From that point, I was like, man, what's that team? So I started, continue watching the whole game and how they explaining how they won so many things just this season alone. So it got me to be into Manchester United all of a sudden. I was like, nobody in Haiti really talks about Manchester United. I mean, we didn't watch English football anyway. So anyway, bought the magazines and stuff and realized how big they were. So became a fan from then, started to try to be like David Beckham. While everybody's trying to dribble, I'm like, let me try to be different. So I like David Beckham. I like that he crosses all the time. So I try to be like him. I try to cross all the time, trying to practice, but I was never that good at it. But I got better, and a lot of my friends, like, they were calling me Beckham, Beckham, Beckham. I loved it. I really did. But now, let's fast forward a little bit. So we're talking about the year 2000, okay? And that's when a lot of Caribbean people, or even just everybody really, a lot of times we can share that type of similarity for sure. But my dad, like in his living room at the house, he had that stereo, that super radio system in the living room that no one can touch. Like, nobody can touch that stereo system, but it's covered with big blanket. So what he did every Sunday, he would go and play music, but he would play it loud. So if I'm in my room, I hear him playing the songs, I just jump off. I want to be in that living room. I just want to be by the loud sound. It's something with me. Now, I was living by myself. My sister wasn't living at the house at the time, so just me being quiet and shy, I had something for loud music. I don't know why. I didn't have any speakers in my room or anything like that at the time. But so he would play that famous song. Can't remember the name of the artist, but it's the whole album. But the first song on the album is what starts the whole Sunday. Suavemente pensame. He would play that song over and over. He would have it on repeat. So every Sunday would be the same thing. So but he had another CD that he played here and there, but not all the time. So what I would do, right? So again, just him. He's the only one who can play on that stereo system. I would wait for them to leave, my mom and dad, and I would actually go in the living room and just turn the radio on. So I would also play that he had that second CD, which was the iconic, the legendary, not just any CD. It was a live performance from Sweet Mickey, and it was a dirty one. Man, back then I wasn't really paying attention to compa as much. I know Zouk was very popular and compa was very popular, but maybe T-Vice and Jack, but I wasn't really into any particular band yet. So you had I would wait for them to leave and start playing all the CDs, but that particular CD was a live performance by Sweet Mickey when he's like dissing T-Vice. Roberto Martino Arnale. So I would just blast it so loud and just hearing the curse words and like, oh shit, like But as soon as I hear my parents, like, they're by the gate, I just run and turn everything off and just run to my room, act like I was sleeping and stuff. So that was super cool, man. But what happened from that point, my mom decided to actually get a radio for me. She realized, like, well, at least I told her that I love playing on a stereo system. She's like, Papa always, I know, don't let your dad see that. I'm like, no, he doesn't know. So, but anyway, she covered for me. So I would, so she decided to get me a radio, and that was from a friend of hers. Like, she got a nice radio that had a CD player in it. So she brought it to the house and told me, hey, you can put this in your room. This is for you. I was like, what? So I got super excited. I had a nice radio, so I put it on top of my TV so it can like flush with the TV. So you would think when you walk into the room, you would think the radio speakers are attached to the TV because it's exactly the same length, but it wasn't. But it looked cool. It really did. So, but the radio came with a CD in it. So that CD was a Madonna CD. I didn't know much about Madonna music, but obviously I know about Madonna. So I went through it. I think that's probably my first time having some type of connection with EDM sounds or melodies. Especially in Haiti, we're not watching, we're not playing EDM like that. But there was that one song on the album. I can't remember the name of the album, but I know that's the album that had the song Frozen. So every time I would listen to it, man, it's like, so I'm like, man, I get gravitated with the sound. Like, I don't know why. So I didn't even listen to any other song besides that one song. So I kept playing and playing and playing it, man. But that was the only CD I had. So with the radio, if it's either I play that CD or I would go and listen to regular radio. So one time I went to one of my friend's house, Baidil Joseph. Just hanging out. My parents, friends, Christelle Epstein was there. Everybody was there. But Baidil came to me and was like, "Yo, do you know this Ben Karimi?" I was like, "Karimi? No, not really." It's like, "You don't know this song, IT Bang Bang?" I was like, "No, I don't know." It's like, all right, well, anyway, I just got the CD. It's a live performance from Karimi. It's called Poziaki. I was like, oh, okay. The name caught my attention. I was like, that's a cool name, Poziaki. Okay. So he popped the CD and he's like, yo, check out track 5, And then he went on, talking and stuff. So I started listening to it. I can't remember the first part of the song. It's a shame. That's bad. I can't remember the first part, but I was listening and vibing into it, but I wasn't really like going crazy about it. And then until it got to that part where it says, boom, hello, 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 baby. To pick you up. Come and drive with me. Driving my Beamer. Man, I lost it. I was like, that's so cool. R.I.P. Mika Ben. Man, this guy was a genius, like, from the get-go. This guy was amazing. And obviously I knew him because of Concours Chanté Noël on Telemax. Like I don't think he won it, but he was among the top 3, top 4 or something. But I got to know a little bit about him, and he had a single at the time too. So he was on that song live, and how they merged their Karimi's song to his and made a whole brand new song that didn't even release on the radio. It was on a live performance. That was genius for me. Like, I was like, man, oh Jesus. So I loved the song. So by then I kind of knew how to operate a CD player. So while everybody was outside still talking and stuff, I'll keep pressing replay and keep listening to it. I listened to it at least like 2 or 3 times. Now, as soon as we were done with the party, I went home and I told my mom, like, yeah, there's a CD we need to buy. And she's like, what CD? I'm like, it's called Karimi Poziaki. I really want it. She was like, okay, we'll see what we can do. So she went to the store a couple days later and got me the CD, and also got me another CD that they told her, hey, this one just came out, maybe you might like it. And that was Jennifer Lopez, the self-titled CD, J-Lo. It had, I think, Love Don't Cost a Thing on it. But, I mean, that was cool. I liked it. Obviously, it was a nice cover and the booklet and stuff. my friend Sagon Goose, like when I got that CD, it was like, yeah, hey, can I get the booklet and the CD and stuff? I was like, really, man? He's like, hell yeah. That was funny. But anyway, so I listened to the J-Lo CD here and there, but not that much compared to Karimi. So I just fell in love with the Karimi CD. Like, I played all the songs, but besides number 5, there was number 7. That's when I started having an addiction to just playing loud music. I couldn't help myself. Like, so I would have the Karimi CD on the radio next to my bed and have the headphone while they think I went to sleep. But it's dark. I can have a dream. I can envision me going to a live concert, because at the time my parents would not let me go to live concerts and stuff. So they did let me go to one or two later on, like just one or two. One of them was Karimi, obviously, but not really. So I would wait for everybody to go to sleep, put my headphone on, blast it to the last, like to the max volume with my little American Airlines headphones. Y'all probably remember those American Airlines headphones. Just, this is a whack headphone, but it's like I feel like I was in the zone. I was at the concert. Track number 7, Haiti Bang Bang. Man, that track seriously got me. It was how did it go? That part where it goes bang bang looky look, man, like the way they recorded that live, like you could hear the crowd going wild when they're playing that solo part. Man, something about it, how the crowd was screaming and everything, was like something that got to me. Still, I was not into music like that yet, but I started developing that kind of love. Like, but I'm sure like around that time, a lot of people were into music. Even in Haiti, I know some people were probably into those Nas and Biggie lyrics and Tupac, and they would know those. Me, I didn't have anybody around me that were playing hip hop like that. So, but anyway, so I got to fall in love with Karimi from that point, like nonstop. Now, I wanted to. So we didn't have cable for maybe about a year. Then my dad decided to try to get cable again. So by that time, when we got cable, so they added a few new channels, right? One of those channels was Channel 31. BET. Man, now I got BET. Again, I didn't know hip hop like that, but as soon as I jumped on, I saw like, just hip hop music and rap and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, that looks cool. I don't know English, but it's cool. I can, I really didn't know how to speak English like that. So I was listening to it and vibing to it almost like I'm in the States, I'm living in the States and stuff. So I look cool, And one of the first shows that I really stayed on BET for was 106 in Park. So around that time, I'm watching it and the crowd is there and it's cool, it's fun. The last thing I've seen like that was on MTV, but this time it's like for hip hop music, like only. So that was super cool. So, and then one song came in. Jose Carabina baby, that go, carado. Hit finger, ding 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 ding, hit me. I went bananas. That song was my serious introduction to hip hop. And man, thank God it was from Timbaland. I was fascinated by the song. I didn't know much about beat making or anything. It was just different. It was just like the video was wild and the cadence was wild. Like most hip hop were like just raw hip hop, but this one had a weird guitar and like it was just the rhythm of the drums was like it got me. From that point, I was like, man, I really like. So I started to listen to more and more hip hop around that time. So a lot of my friends at school started making CDs now. around that time, that's when the whole making CDs for others started to be popular. So I was like, and so I knew how to make a playlist now to give them, hey, can I get these songs or this songs? So I started having a couple CDs, but almost all my CDs would start with Get Your Freak On. So then something went in my head. I was like, man, around that time too, I think I fell in love with Stan. Also, I had a friend of mine who actually gave me another CD, was Eminem. Can't lie to you, when I first heard the name Eminem, I thought like, okay, like the candy store trying to, I don't, like that's all I thought about. No joke. So I brought the CD home, fell in love with Stan, realized how much cursing was involved, but I couldn't really understand everything he was saying. It's just that Stan had a cool melody, had a really, really cool melody. And then I ended up seeing the video for Stan on MTV. So I fell in love with it. So when I started listening to all these songs, I started having CDs, like I said, making, some friends were making those CDs for me. And I started thinking like, okay, so how do they make those CDs? So I asked, I think I had Henri Kaido, he was my neighbor, and his brother Jamaï Kaido and Geneviève as well. I went to his house, like, cause he was making CDs as well, and I was like, how do you make those CDs? I was like, yeah, it's a CD burner and stuff. Can't lie to you, people. I'm talking about 2001, 2002 by then. When I heard CD burner, I thought they were talking about like almost like you put some glasses and you put those little electrical thing, like you burning the CD. That's what I thought CD burner was. So I was like, okay, so I'll never have that, because that sounds very complicated. So I went to his house. So he popped the CD in the computer. It was like, yeah, I'm burning the CD now. So I didn't tell him anything. I was like, oh, so that's how you burn CDs. Oh, okay, damn. So anyway, so I realized you can do that, and then he told me, yeah, you can do it on the desktop, and some laptop nowadays they have it too. I was like, man, they have that? Okay, I need one. I heard laptop, so in my mind it's like, oh, it's smaller. Well, probably desktop was cheaper than a laptop. But anyway, so I went to my mom, was like, Mom, I got $50. Can we reach out to my aunt in New York, Auntie Maggie, and probably try to find a way to get me a laptop? She was like, $50? I don't know if they can get you that, but I'll let her know. So I guess like she called her, and my aunt was like, I don't think $50 will do it. So a couple weeks later, she called my mom and told my mom that, hey, my son, my cousin Maxim, was having a new laptop. So his old laptop, he's cleaning it out and wanted to send it to Henry. So she decided not to tell me anything. So she was waiting on, my mom was waiting on a big shipment from New York. Those big barrels, probably a lot of Caribbean people can connect to that. Sometimes you would receive some big barrel from families from the States, and it has a lot of stuff in it, like oil and rice, and sometimes you have like, pancake powder, whatever. So we're going through it, really excited. We got the barrel. So right before the last few things, at the bottom of the barrel, there was a nice package. So my mom picked it up and handed it to me, and was like, I think this is for you. Like, for me? I don't know what I was thinking. So I just started slicing and opening it, and then I saw that little Dell logo. Man, I screamed. I ran in the house like, yeah, I got a laptop. What? I felt like I was over the moon. I don't know what I was going to do with it. I seriously didn't even know. I just have it's a real laptop. It's a real laptop. Anyway, so my cousin cleaned out pretty much everything on it, besides the music player that he down, I think it was Real One. So that music player, you can burn CDs as well. And then you also left a couple videos on the laptop, like from Jada Kiss, from Nelly, and all these guys. So anyway, so I called my friend, Kaido, and he came to the house, kind of showed me the basic on how to work it and how to burn CDs and all that stuff. But anyway, so I started doing that, but I didn't really have a lot of songs. I had just like just a few stuff from what I had collected from friends that I asked for. But now people started to ask for compa and zouk and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't have these. I just know I can burn CDs. So I thought, okay, well, I heard about something about MP3 CDs. So I asked my friend, Kevin Petitfrere. He was banging CDs. So I was like, how do you, like, what are those? He's like, yeah, it's those MP3 CDs you have. Like, you cannot just pop it on a CD player on a radio for it to play. You have to put it on the computer. But it's like a data CD where you can have like 100 songs, 120 songs, as much as it can fit. Like, I think something about 790 megabytes, something like that. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Can I have one? So he's like, so what songs do you want? I was like, so I give him all the list I can, and I was like, just other songs. The rest just put compa songs on it, the popular ones. So he did that for me. So I got my first MP3 CDs. I saved them on the laptop. So now I could legit like burn CDs. So from that point, I started really trying to sell CDs because I had a lot more. That's when I tagged along with my friend Steve Basile and Christian Archange. Matter of fact, Steve Basile, man, he's special to me. Very, 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 very special to me, because without him, man, there's so many things related to me making music, being involved in the music making process that would not have happened. Like, for real, man. Steve Basile, big guy. So, but we kind of started chatting together because back in high school, I was trying to sell sandwiches. My friend Charles Gedeon, all these guys, like, they would buy sandwiches from me because I would make it a little cheaper than most other guys. So they're selling theirs for like $3, three Haitian dollars. I'll try to sell mine for $2. So one day Steve Basile came to me and was like, how do you sell yours for $2? I'm trying to sell mine for $3. You're stealing business from everybody. Like, there's no way yours costs enough for you to make a profit. Not realizing I had some savings, so I give my mom some money to buy it for me. So she actually goes to the stores. For them, a lot of times they would buy it for, in the neighborhood supermarkets, which was a little bit more expensive. So I get it a little cheaper, so I could afford doing that. So that's how we became friends, like just selling sandwiches. So I told him I have the laptop and everything. So Steve Basile and Christian Archange was a mastermind also. He was another one, man. So he thought about, hey, why don't we actually start an actual business with it? You know what I mean? Like an actual company. So me, Steve Basile, and Christian Archange, we started making some flyers and stuff. That's when we started with Red Sea. Man, it looked so professional. So instead of, while I was selling CDs, also the cool thing is everybody was selling their CDs for $20. I was selling mine for $15. That's how I started getting some market share, because in my mind I was like, well, the CD technically cost me like, my first set of CDs, I didn't pay anything for it. Kaido, like, I think at the time, gave me a couple of them. So these were the only ones that I sold, but I sold them for $15 a piece. So when I started the whole Red Sea thing, I waited when I went for a vacation. I think it was in December at that time. I went to New York and decided to grab a bunch of like blank CDs, so packs of like 100. So I got like 300 or 400 CDs, came back to Haiti. So like I said, we started making some pamphlets and stuff to send to other schools, from Sacré-Cœur, Saint-Rose de Lima, Canado, and all these schools, man. So we send them so that we started to do a subscription model. Let me tell you something, man. We started doing certain things like way before a lot of popular things, but we just didn't know, this would be a thing. Subscription model, no. So the way we do it, you sign up for $5 a month with Red Sea Inc. It sounded so American, like such an American company. Inc. You just put Inc. at the end, not knowing this is illegal. Technically speaking, you can't just put Inc. if you're not an incorporation. So we started offering subscription $5 a month. You sign up. First of all, you can get all your CDs for $15 instead of $20 that most people do. And then on top of that, if you end up buying 3 CDs in 1 month, you get the fourth free. I kid you not. We're talking about subscription in Haiti. This is not something that's common for people to do. For some reason, we started getting a lot of subscribers from all these different schools. And they started knowing about the name Red Sea. And it's like, until we got to one person, starting to ask, send their kids like to ask us like, what kind of company are we doing? Is it a real company and stuff like that? That's how pretty big within our little circle it started getting. But anyway, so aside from that, so we kind of started Red Sea and everything. Then now my friend Steve Bazil, he started to give me some data CDs. So having all these data CDs, he had a bunch of software on them. And I was like, he's like, yo, here's the CD, install all the things on it, install them on your computer. I was like, what are those? He's like, just software, just trust me, man, like just install them from DJ software and everything. So I was like, oh, okay. So I took the CD, installed, back then we didn't think about virus and stuff like that. We just like, so I installed everything. I'm gonna try to name some of these software, right? Atomics DJ. It was called Atomics DJ. That was the parent company of Virtual DJ. Tractor DJ. FL Studio was called Fruity Loops. Acid Rap, which was pretty much what we use now as Pro Tools and all those things, but we're talking about Acid Rap. That was in Haiti, so I didn't really know much about it. But anyway, so I played around with everything. I really love Virtual DJ. So I love Virtual DJ, and I got to discover something with one of the software that he got me to install, which was a software to to make CDs as well. This software allowed you to record.
Y'all ready?
Once I realized that we can record with the left side of a headphone, man, it's a whole new world that started. Whole new world. Man. When I got that, I decided to make an intro for all our CDs. So now when people are buying CDs from Red Sea in the very beginning, that's when I leave some room for imagination what the C meant in Red Sea. So every time you start playing the CD, the first track is, it's big, it's strong, it's hard, Red Sea Inc. So everybody's like what does the C means? Obviously start being, start having some interpretation from that. Probably, I think, I gotta give credit to Woji Paris. Like he's one of the few guys who actually were passing by us, and we were thinking about giving the whole thing the real name, but we were like, yo, let's stick to Red Sea. And he just passed by. He's like, red. He said the word, and we looked at him like, man. He's like, oh, you didn't think I already know? Man, get out of here. So you already knew what the C meant. But anyway, so once I realized I can record like that, I had the mindset that, hey, maybe I can do more stuff. That's when I actually got with, who was it? With Biggie and Pierre and Dr. Greg. Man, shout out to these guys, man. They came to the house, and that was before I left the country around 2005 by then. So around that time, in Suave was heavy in Haiti, with Christian Surina and Serge Tunier, Power Surge, and all these guys. A lot of respect for these guys. DJ Hot, Full Blast, all these guys. So around then, I had Dr. Greg and Biggie who came to the house. That was the first time I recorded an actual song. Here's the process, people. Here's the process, all right? So I used that software that burns CDs. And on that software, the recording part, I would have Biggie record his part. So I would play the song from my laptop, just low enough, but you can hear it. But didn't matter, as long as you can hear it. So I would put the left side of my headphone on the TV or the radio for him to, so that would be the mic stand. So it'd be in front of the TV just rapping, almost like it's a booth. So I would record his vocals, and then I would take that vocal put it aside, have Dr. Greg do the same thing. One take. One take. You can't make mistake on that. It's either it's good the whole time, or you made a mistake but it's not that big enough. Like, it's one take. So one take for the hook, one take for the verses, and then once they were done, then I'm like, all right, so I got all the files I need. I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm gonna put it together. They're like, all right. So left, and that was the first song I actually quote unquote mixed. Funny. So I would throw the actual beat and virtual DJ, and then I would actually put each vocals, wait, like, let's say the first verse is starting, and then as soon as it starts, I would click the hot cue for it to start. Man,
y'all ready?
It's big.
Listen,
as soon as I start doing that, if I make a mistake, if I'm trying to put the hook, I have to record the whole thing on virtual DJ. Wait for the hook part to come in and click on it to make sure it goes in at the right time. So I can't be late. If it's late, I have to start over. So I would start over like 5, 6, 7 times just for the hook, get frustrated, and then start running out of memory and stuff. Then once I'm done with the first verse and the hook, then I gotta go to second verse, same thing. Then I got to go to the last hook, same thing. So it was a process, man. That one little song, that's with no mixing, with nothing, no EQ, compressor, delay, reverb, none of that. No ad libs, just one take. You got a song, bro. You got a song. Anyway, that was funny. But still, having FL Studio on my computer, I still haven't used it yet. I was into the DJ stuff. And then here comes the king of the kings, Mr. Richard Music, Shunun. This guy, I swear to God, man, was a couple months before I left Haiti. He was in class. So we went, me and my friends, I think Basil and stuff, we went to his class during lunchtime, and he had his laptop there, and he was playing some beats or making some beats, and everybody surrounded him. And I was like, yo, what is he doing? He's like, yo, he's making some beats and stuff. So went around him. Seeing him making beats was so fascinating. When I say the kings of kings, like this guy, he's like the Timbaland of our generation. Nobody really know about Richard Music the way I've seen him. And I know the ones who do, they know how big this guy is. And I'm so happy. There's one of the songs that I will be releasing, this year. It's called Baby You, and he produced that, and I'm so grateful for it, man. Shout out to Richard Music. He got me into the whole mode of making beats, for real. Like, so I would see him making beats in class. We're talking about a little laptop, like lunchtime in Haiti. We all around him, like surrounding him, and he's like, playing those beats, those transition drops and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, how does he do that? Like, he's actually making, and then he was making compa also on FL Studio, like legit compa. Like, he remade like one song from Compa Creole, like big time. Like, this guy was a genius. Anyway, so I saw how he was making beats, but I couldn't figure out the software because I'm seeing a bunch of that was the step sequencer, but I'm like seeing a bunch of buttons and I can't find the play button. I press the play button, nothing's playing. I'm like, whatever. So I never played on it, but I saw how he was making some beats. So my friend Steve Basil got some beats from him. One of the beats, that's the one that Dr. Greg and Biggie made the songs out of. So I had 3 beats from Richard Music on my computer. And that was like the starting point for me, because I could hear the transition, I could hear the way like he did the snares. I think the first different snare pattern that I've heard from him was the so that made me understand how different patterns you can do when you're making hip-hop. So anyway, so now that school is done, I'm sitting here trying to play around with the rest of the software before I leave the country. Here come FL Studio, Fruity Loops. I'm like, man, let me just open this thing, because I've seen, Shunon making all these beats and stuff. Like, let me just explore. But remember, people, there's no Google, there's no let me check on YouTube how you do this, and it's just, you just gotta figure it out. My parents, I can call my dad like, hey, can you show me how to? There's nobody, and I didn't have friends like that who would come to the house to like show me how to make beats. It was, first of all, it was the last 2 weeks of before I left the country, so I decided to play around with it, and then by playing around with it, I found the play button. So when I found the play button, I started putting some things on the step sequencer, and then I heard. I was like, oh, sound's coming out. All right, so let me play around with it. Now I see snare. Don't know what I think I call it snare. Play that. Now there. I was like, oh snap. Okay, trying to figure out how you delete things you put on the step sequencer, not realizing it's right click. Now I think whatever I try to do, and I realized the right click actually delete. Then I decided to, okay, so I can delete that. Let me try to make a pattern. So I got that was it. That's my beginning. I started getting addicted to FL Studio. I was like, oh my God. So I started putting some cool drum pattern, but I could not for the life of me come up with melodies. I was like, yeah, okay, so the drum pattern thing is cool, but like I'm hearing, Richard's music, he has like melodies after melodies. I'm like, I can't do that. That's what I'm looking for. And then I think I right click on one of the layers on FL Studio, and then saw the piano roll. So I'm like, piano. I'm thinking piano. So I just loaded up, and I realized it's playing for the kick. So I was like, no, that's not what I want. I understand what it's trying to do, but it's not for the kick. So I think I went on the browser and finally found, I think Citrus caught my attention because it looks nice. It's a nice name. Now I loaded up and I heard, I was like, oh. Then I started playing around with it, realized how you can make the steps smaller, bigger, until you can get your melodies. And that's when I made my first beat. We're talking about, I think it was June 2005. And it was like the style of Big Timers. I still remember the melodies too. Man, I swear to God, I thought I was the beat maker of the year. I'm like, nobody can touch me. I'm a beat maker now. Forget about DJing. I'm making my own music and stuff. So I got addicted to it. So I did a second beat and a third beat. So during the 2 weeks before I left Haiti, I had 3 beats. So got to New York. A whole different world now. So I'm in New York. Me and my mom, we moved to my aunt's house at first. So the first person that I got in touch with was Scorpion Johnson. So he lived in Brooklyn too. So we got in touch on High Five, people. High Five. Everybody's talking about, Facebook now and Instagram. I'm talking about High Five. That was before MySpace. High Five. So I got in touch with him. So we exchanged numbers. So we started hanging out. And then, man, with Scorpion, he was there first day, man. He got with me, showed me the bus route, and I was like, man, my mom's trying to look for a job, but I think she probably gonna get a job at Macy's, but I'm trying to look for a job too. He's like, yo, okay, so there's the CVS here, definitely try to go apply there. I'm like, how do you do that? He's like, yo, just go in there and ask for an application, and apply for it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought it was very easy. So I decided, all right, let me do that. I went in there, got an application, filled it out, give it to them, and I think 2 days later, they called me for an interview. So I'm getting ready to go to the interview. I'm about to step out, and my cousin saw me. He's like, yo, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm going for an interview. He's like, in that outfit? I had a t-shirt, and then I was still coming from Haiti, from Saint Louis Gonzague, so I still had that mentality that I need to put my shirt, it has to be tucked in. But it was a t-shirt and a short and some sandals, some type of sandals. It was summertime. So my cousin's like, you can't go to an interview like that. I didn't know any better. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, yo, put a shirt on, some nice pants. You got to dress up. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you ready for the interview? I'm like, yeah, I think so. All right, go. Don't be late. So he didn't really practice with me because I was late. So I went there, sat down with the manager. That part of the story is important because to show you how I didn't know much. Seeing where I'm at now, I'm very grateful, to have a pretty good job and to be graduating with my MBA now. And stuff like that. Like it's really cool because back then I went to that interview. They sat down with me. It was like, so what did you, what kind of experience you have? I'm like, no experience. Like I said, I barely know how to speak English. Like, so what did you do in high school? I'm like, school, finish school, a college 6 months. Okay. What are you applying for? Because you didn't put anything there. Just work there. Okay. Well, we'll take a look at your application and we'll give you a call if you find something for you. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. So I left. In my mind, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna get a job. So I'm gonna start at this place. Okay, so it's right down the block. All right, so I got my job. I'm cool. About a week, I think 2 weeks in, I think Scorpion hit me up and was like, yo, did you hear from the job? I was like, no. I went for the interview. I'm just waiting for them to call me so I can start. It's like, oh, snap, you got the job. I'm like, oh, they didn't tell me I got the job. They just told me they're gonna call me, and I'm just waiting for that. He's like, yo, you didn't get the job, man. If they didn't call you by then, you didn't get the job. You need to go in there and ask. I was like, man, okay. So I went in there and found a manager. Finally, I think I went twice. The first time he wasn't there. The second time I saw him now, and I asked for him. He's like, son, at the moment we did find someone who was more qualified for this job, so I apologize. I was like, man, that was a wake-up call for me, man. I was like, oh, it's like that. So you can't just get a job like that. My mom was lucky enough too. My mom, when she went to Macy's, it was a mass hiring, but she didn't know, so she just applied. She barely had an interview. The person she spoke with, was Haitian also, so it was a good interview. And I'm glad that she was able to get the job and not have to go through so many things. It was pretty much the first place she applied. And so my mom had the job, so at least my mom had something. But at that point I was like, man, I need to get something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have just her like having a job. So I decided to go ahead and try to go to the mall to get a job. So I started going to the mall. I applied everywhere, but I entered one store, and that was Old Navy. Man, as soon as I entered there, I saw everybody with radio and with headset and stuff like that. I was like, yo, that's so cool. All the other stores, people are just working there. At Old Navy, people have headset and radio and stuff, and they're talking on the radio. I'm like, I want to work there. So I went to the cash register and asked for an application. They're like, well, we don't really do application like that. I was like, man, I got so disappointed. In my head, I was like, of course, like the place that I want to go. And the lady's like, but you can apply online. Here's the card. Just go on this site and then, just make sure you choose Kings Plaza, Brooklyn. I was like, online? Oh, okay. So I went home, went on the site, and then I got to the part of availability. So I didn't really understand what it meant. So I asked my aunt, what do they mean by availability? It's like the times that you can work. Just put whatever you can put. I was like, put whatever. Okay. So I chose 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. 7 days a week. And I submit my application. So now I submitted, I think the next day, because I submitted on a Sunday. The very next day, I got a call. It was from Old Navy. Hi, Henry, would you like to come for an interview? Oh man, hell yeah. Yeah, of course. So I told my my family, they were so excited, like, wow, the place you want to work, because I told him how I really want to work at Old Navy. Even my aunt like tried to get me at the McDonald nearby. I was okay to get it. No lie, I was like, if I get it there, like, that's cool, I'll get it. But for some reason, because I saw Old Navy, I was like, I want Old Navy, man. I really want Old Navy. So next day, like I said, they called me for an interview. So I told them, they were so excited for me. And a couple of days later, I went for the interview. So when I went for the interview, man, that's another one. I still didn't prepare. I got dressed better, but I still didn't prepare at all. They're like, so what type of job, what type of position you looking for? I'm like, it's like, I see that you put a certain position here, but you definitely don't have the experience for that. So what are you looking to do? I'm like, here, just help. Like, okay. So is customer service sound right for you? I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, the people who are at the door just helping people and folding clothes. Yes, that. I want to do that. It's like, okay, so customer service. All right, sounds good. So what's your availability? Because I don't know if it's a mistake or if that's what you meant. You said pretty much 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. Is that correct? I was like, yes, that's correct. I was like, oh, okay. So you don't do anything else? I'm like, no, I'm starting school, starting college January. She was like, I see. Okay, makes sense. So that's fine. Even if you do get a job with us by January, if you have to modify the schedule, we'll do that. Fine. So she got me to not only to pass that first interview, but schedule me for a second one. So I went for my second interview later on, and then everybody at the mall, for the most part, we're getting $7.25 an hour. That's the entry, that's the minimum wage. They offered me $8.25 an hour. That was huge, man. I was so excited. I was like, okay, so now I didn't think of taxes. I'm like, first of all, they didn't give me a schedule. They just said, you're hired, you're going to start training, blah, blah. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so I put my availability 12 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week. So I'm never going to be at the house. I'm not going to be paying taxes either. I don't know anything about that. So, okay, so 825 times, 24 hours for the day, or 23 hours, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna be banking $3,000 every 2 weeks and stuff, because they already told me you're getting paid every 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So go figured. Realize, one, you don't get to work 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. That's one. Second, you don't get to get the full money that you're getting paid for. You gotta pay taxes. But I already had planned for all these big stuff. Anyway, I got the job. Now I'm good. Realize it's not that. You don't get paid as much. But got with Scorpion and Client Sobi, Ace, all these guys, and Torshawn, like all these guys, man. So we started making music together. But still, we didn't have a setup. I didn't have the proper mic or anything. So at that point, Scorpion was like, all right, so we need the real stuff, man. We need to get a mic. So I was like, yeah. Oh, can we get a mic? It's like, yeah, we just go to the store. Dummy. You're in the United States now. You're in New York. Like, you need something, you're going to find it somewhere. But I didn't think of it. Coming from Haiti, if they didn't hand that shit to me, I wouldn't know. Anyway, he's like, yo, let's go to the store and buy one. So we hop on a bus. We didn't have a car back then. So we hop on two buses, like B6, and we went to the last stop. And it was like right before they closed. We went to Best Buy. So me and Jonathan, like, just walking in there, like, whoop, just asked, like, hey, where can we find the mics? Like, microphones? Dynamic microphones? We didn't know what the difference microphone. Like, this section. So we went over there, saw a mic just like that. Just like that. Oh boy, man. Boom. So we went in there, we got our mic, excited. I think it was $60. Scorpion was like, yo, I got this. So he got me my first mic. So we went ahead, we went home, man, trying to plug everything in. And okay, I had a mic, but still using the same software to record the stuff. So the stuff was not coming out really good just yet, but we still ended up doing a demo, and that was our first demo. Like had like 7 tracks on it, and recorded everything like through the CD burning software, and mixed everything in Virtual DJ. No effects. Well, I did have effects actually. I had effects from Virtual DJ, but not like actual vocal effects like EQ, delay, or none of that. None of that. Anyway, so we're done with that. But as I was working at the mall, I started walking around the mall because I had my little MP3 player by then, just walking around. I didn't have a car, so either take a bus or walk around. So one time, I finished my shift quite early. I think it was a 12 to 4 p.m. And then I started walking around the mall. And then as I was walking, I was like, I have time. I can still catch another bus, but let me see what's around, because I know all the stores inside the mall already. So I walked around, and then I saw a store called Sam Ash. I walked in there, man. That was heaven. That was like a kid at a candy store. I'm seeing keyboards, I'm seeing guitars, I'm seeing amps, I'm seeing studio monitors, everything. I'm like, whoa, what are these? Like, I didn't know there was a store like that. So walked in there, and then my mind was blown. It was right before income tax also. So I went in there and asked him, hey, why do I need to record stuff? To record music? I'm like, yeah. Like, what's your budget? I'm like, I don't have any. I just got paid, and I have, I have $100 left. About that, like, let me see. Well, here's the deal. You can buy. There's a new software that we have, and it actually comes with a condenser microphone. So it's about $140, and it's called Sonar. For all my music geek out there, Sonar, if you don't know about it, then yeah, that's way before. That was from Cakewalk, who has Ben Lab now, I think. Anyway, so I got myself Sonar. So I got home, I got a condenser microphone now, and then he told me, like, you probably would need a stand too. So I bought a little stand. I think it was like $10 or something. So I put the microphone on the stand, and it was a USB microphone, so I didn't need anything, any mixer or anything. I could plug it into the computer. So I had Cakewalk, I had Sonar now. Now I feel, man, I can record things. I don't need to stop exactly, like, keep recording the whole thing one take. I could punch in, I could add stuff. Man, that was revolutionary for me. Anyway, so I think the last song on the demo I recorded on Sonar, and it sounded better. So I decided to make that song the single, quote unquote, because it sounded better. The quality was better. But anyways, so from that time, that's when I actually started putting myself out there. I wanted to reach out to Freedom Records. Man, Freedom was big. Before I left Haiti, he was like the guy that I wanted to actually understand how he makes melody for his raps and stuff like that. Big guy. So I got in touch with, his name is Breda now, but back then he was Two-Face. And he's like another brother to me. Like, he's like one phone call away, man. This guy's like, I had my rap style, or at least the way I try to rap, like, is heavily influenced by him, especially the way he used to rap before. He raps a little bit different now, but the way he used to rap before, like, that part was, it was a big influence on me. So again, on High Five, we exchanged numbers. He was getting he was getting some traction because he had that group. CFC was him and his brother and his cousin, Roll D. So they had a lot of songs on a Haitian site, kinda, that was called Back's Family. So he had one song called Sac Passe, and I could hear those songs. I downloaded them, and I'm like, man, these guys are so good. Like, he's reaching out to me. Like, what the hell? I didn't know if I had anything to offer. But anyway, so when he reached out to me, we decided to link up. So he came to the house in Brooklyn. So he recorded, his song. not a song. He just recorded a freestyle that he saw my little setup. It was like, yo, you can record stuff. I'm like, yeah. So me, never went to a studio. I'm like, yeah. I got a super thing. He's been in the studio. He knows a lot better. But anyway, so he started recording the freestyle in English. I wasn't really that fluent in English, but he was really fluent in English without accent or nothing. So you wouldn't think like he's Haitian at all. So he started rhyming and stuff. He was really good. And he's like, yo, let me take that over again. I'm like, what do you mean? That was perfect. He's like, no, I made a mistake somewhere. Let's take it over. I'm like, damn, that's when the whole perfectionist thing kind of started in my mind. Like, he'll do something over and over until he get it the right way. So anyway, he decided to re-record it, and I'm seeing his flow, how he's rapping on the thing, and man, I was like, yo, I got excited for it. Around that time, Scorpion was getting to get deployed, like because he was in the Marines already, but he knew that. So I started trying to work with 2Face with his crew as well, and then also with Red Sea. Like, we're still trying to make some music, but income tax season came. So the first thing that 2Face told me at the time, he's like, man, listen, your beats are pretty dope, the melodies, but the drums, man, the drums are not great. I was like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, listen to the kick. Your kicks are like techno kicks. I'm like, okay. So he's like, yo, listen to this Nas or Jay-Z. I don't know which one he played for me. I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's what you meant. It's like, yeah, not those kick, man. So I went back on some of my beats, and then I just went through all the kick drums, and then I found some of those kicks, and I started replacing them. I'm like, yo, that sound better. So I sent him some. He's like, yo, yeah, that sounds good. But still, even that, like, I was not, the melodies, they didn't have no reverb, no nothing. It was just bland. That's when, when I started working with him, doing a lot of things, we decided to just go and buy around income tax. My mom gave me half of her income tax. I was so grateful for that. I had some money from school as well. So I decided to go buy Pro Tools, because 2Face, Brida was like, yo, you want to be, you want to have what they have at those studios, you need Pro Tools. I didn't know what Pro Tools was. So in my mind, like, when I heard Pro Tools, I heard it's like a tool, a pro tool. I didn't know, like, I thought it was a device.
Y'all ready?
I went to the store, walked in, Sam Ash. By then, I used to visit the store a lot, but didn't really buy anything because I didn't have much money like that. So I went down, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for Pro Tools. Like, Pro Tools. Like, what kind of, I'm like, just the cheapest Pro Tools you have. It's like, he kind of figured I didn't really know what I was talking about, but he's like, well, we got this new thing here. It's Pro Tools, and it's $300. It's called MBox. I'm like, MBox? I'm looking for Pro Tools. He's like, yeah, it is Pro Tools. You just connect it and you install Pro Tools. Dummy. I realize it's not a tool or big hardware, and it can be a little box, the little white MBox, white and I think blue purplish. It was a two channel with it. So it's like, if you buy this, you probably should buy, okay, you have a condenser mic, you said, you probably would need, it's like, does the condenser mic go, does it has those 3 pins under? I'm like, yeah, I see those, but I connected with USB. It's like, yo, so you'll need a XLR cable to go to the MBox, and then from the MBox to go to your computer. So went home, tried to install it, it did not work. And I realized, okay, what's missing? So I went back to the store. Mind you, when something doesn't work, I can't just YouTube it. I can't just a quick phone call away, because I just discovery method. So if it didn't work, I would have to hop on the bus, go back to the store, go talk to someone. They give me the information, go back home, try to work it out. If it doesn't work, I have to do the same process over and over and over again. So I went back to the store and was like, it's not working. It's not even installing. They said something about RAM. It's like, oh, I see. You probably need more RAM. Your computer it requires at least 4 gig RAM. I think I had 2 gig RAM. So I was like, man, I need another computer. All right, it's cool. It's income tax season. So try to go to Chinatown, saw a nice laptop. I didn't care about, nothing about the laptop. I just asked him, is it 4 gig RAM? Yes, it's 4 gig RAM. Okay, I want to get it. So I put a layaway on it. So I put my first paycheck, put a second paycheck until I actually got it. So at my house, with the income tax, I also bought some apparent monitors, and a little keyboard also. I went for the keyboard. I think I went to, can't remember. It wasn't, maybe it was Sam Ash. I think I went to Sam Ash for the keyboard, but it was the cheapest keyboard I could find. It was just a Casio keyboard. It didn't have anything on it. You can't record nothing on it. It just was a Casio keyboard, and it had a USB plug too. You can plug it to your computer. Forget about it. It was not a MIDI keyboard, but it's a regular keyboard, but you could plug it in. So I got all these things, got a new laptop, installed Pro Tools. Sound's not coming out still. Now I'm pissed because now I got a brand new laptop. I installed Pro Tools now and I connect everything. No sounds coming out. Man, I'm like, man. So I went to the store. Was like, sound's still not coming out. That was like 2-3 weeks later. You guys like, well, what's your output? I'm like, what is he talking about output? I don't know any of that. So okay, so you have the mic. It goes to the box, and the box go to the computer. From the computer, on the sound thing, the little speaker icon at the bottom, you have to choose where the sound's coming out. If it says default, like it's still coming from the computer, but you have to choose the M box. I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, well, my headphone also, it's on the box, it says phone, headphone, it has the logo of the headphone, but it's not going in. It's just too small. It's like, oh, okay. So you need a 1/4 inch jack. Here, you can buy this for $2. Just buy this, and then you can connect your headphone to it, and it goes in. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like it would be big like that. So went home, changed the settings, boom, I heard sound. That was it. I called Buida, yo, it's working now. I called Scorpion, yo, it's working now. So, but at the time, Scorpion was still on base, so he would come only just on the weekends before he got deployed. So I started working with Two-Face a lot, Two-Face / Buida. So working with him, he was at the house for like 3 weeks, like straight. Like we didn't do anything but recording. That's one of the things I wish, man, back then I was better at, recording and understanding how to process compressor, EQ, and all that stuff, but I didn't. We just went straight for it. So everything we record, I know about reverb, I know about delay, because we went to a little seminar one time when I first got Pro Tools at a school, and they were demonstrating something, how they took a pencil in a bottle, they just hit it one time, they took that one sound, flip the roll off for the low end and put the high frequency up, made it a snare, also did this with that same sound, made it a kick, and then they made a whole thing. But they got to the normalized part, and Pro Tools you can do that, in Studio One nowadays you can do that, and they also got to the reverb and delay. So I realized reverb and delay, okay, so these things, they do that for the vocals. I didn't know you could do that for instruments by then. Cool. Now Scorpion is deployed to Iraq. We did a few songs, but we didn't really work that much on the new Pro Tools. So I was mostly working with Buida. So now here comes Christian Suriana and Surge, right? So Power Surge, we reached out to each other again on High Five. So I was just sending music or links or something, and he realized, oh, okay, on MySpace he saw that I had some beats and stuff, so he reached out and was like, yo, that's cool, I'm gonna be in New York, maybe we can link up and stuff. So linked up with him and stuff. Over time, we started seeing each other here and there. So he heard some of my beats, right? And I told him that recently, how that one thing he told me kind of changed my course as far as music, making music. So he heard some of my beats. He was like, yo, I like your, you got some melodies and stuff, but he told me that in Creole. beat yo monkey vian, man. I'm like, what does he mean by monkey vian? Like, I don't get it. It's like, yo, listen to this beat that you did, and then you can hear the piano or whatever. Ding 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 ding. Like, you heard that, right? I'm like, yeah. And then he played his, well, different melody, but it was more like, I was like, oh snap, I see that. It's like there's like a bass. It's like, yeah, it's like yours is like kind of thin. Same thing with Christian Surena. Like he showed me how one of my beats had a nice little melody, and he's like, you could have the same type of melody, but yours is lacking space. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? So he's playing his, mine's like ding 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 ding. His would be not the same melody, but the concept would be like, no 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 no. I was like, oh snap, how you do that? I understand that. It's like when you do that, your beats are more professional. I was like, how you do that? You know what I mean? Like, so when he told me that, both him and Serge kind of told me around that time they were using Reason. I just got Pro Tools. So I was like, Reason, I've seen that in the Pro Tools pack. It comes with either a trial or a light version of Reason. I was like, this thing, that's where you use the beat. He's like, yeah. So I installed Reason, and that's when I started playing around with Reason and realize how there's so many different sounds and Reason that you can choose from and already have, like the delay, you know, all these things. And man, so around that time, man, that's also when I started, you know, getting around, you know, from, you know, Jean-Max Valcourt at his studio, Madman JP, you know, at his studio in Long Island. And then also I met the one and only Nolzi Kade, like Nolzi from Kaimi at the time, you know, and now of course from Vibe. But man, at the time, it's like, you know, some people that they have a name in the industry and everybody knows them and they're good at what they do, but I don't know how to explain that. I always felt like it would be a different caliber, a different level for me, because I was a nobody. You were just playing around and making music and stuff. So man, got introduced to him through Christian Surena and Serge. Nolzi opened arms for us from day one. And besides him, when I was still working at Old Navy, and at Old Navy, you got a guy like he's the one who got me into a lot of hip hop stuff also. His name was Angel. He was the LP over there. Like, I'm gonna come back to Nolzi in a second, because these two are so important, because these guys just open arms for me, right? I'm gonna start with Angel, because working over there, I used to see him just walking around, like, you know, but I never talked to him because I was not really a talker. I was so shy. Even back then, man, like, you know, shout out to all these Old Navy, you know, my old Navy friends, man. Like, it was crazy because I was shy and stuff, but seeing Angel like walking around, like he had his shades on and like swag, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try to talk to this guy. He's, you know, but one of the other guys working over there was really cool, and you can see that I'm shy, but he was really approachable. So he went to me, hey, what are you doing, you know, on my lunch break? I was like, oh, I'm listening to some songs, I make some beats. It's like, word, you make beats? Yo, that's cool, let me hear. So I let him hear some things, like, oh, all right, I hear you. Yo, do you know Angel? I'm like, oh, the LP guy? He's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I see him, but I don't know. He's like, yo, you know he raps, right? I'm like, I didn't know that. It's like, yo, I'm gonna let him know, man. You guys should link up. So you let him know, and then I think I was folding some jeans and stuff, and I see Angel like coming behind me, like just walking. I'm like, my heart just sank. I was like, what did I do wrong? Because nobody really talked to me like that. They talked to me nicely, but not like that. So I saw him. He came next to me. He's like, hey, what up, fam? I'm like, hey. It's like, I heard you make some beats. I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, all right. When's your lunch break? So I told him, he's like, yo, when you get your lunch break, let me know. I want to hear some of the stuff you make. I was like, man, all right. So I'm trying to fold clothes. I'm going to my little MP3 player, trying to make sure I have my best beat first. It was like a gangster beat. At least I thought it was a gangster beat. I'm thinking he's into like gangster beat and stuff like that. So I put that first one. So my lunch break came. So I went to him and started playing the gangster beat. And I saw him like vibing and vibing. I'm like, oh, okay. And he took his headphones. Like, that's cool. Nah, okay. I'm like, well, I made another one this morning, which was more like a melodic, like a nice little vibe. I played it for him. It's like, yo, you made that? I'm like, yeah, this morning. He's like, yo, that's fire. Yo, I'm gonna let you link up with my team, man. I got my team Goon Squad. That's when we got Goon Squad, the whole Goon Squad. I think there was Ice Guy and my boy Bricks. I gotta make I'm gonna be making a whole video just on Bricks to tell you guys how this guy is super, super raw and talented. He has a whole special episode by itself. But anyway, so I got to link up with the Goon Squad. They heard some of my beats. I even shared one of my beats with them, and so that was a whole new opening, and that meant a lot to me because the way I'm working with Bricks now, it started from that. So now I'm transitioning to Nolzi. How Nolzi opened arms for us, especially me and Beda at the time. Man, like we didn't have a car. Like we're just going around and stuff, like taking the bus, taking the train, whatever we need. So he was in Long Island. Me and Two-Face, man. I call him Two-Face and Beda because I still remember Two-Face, right back then. So we would go to Nolzi's house, like we would take the bus and trying to walk like everywhere within the Long Island, within that area, within his neighborhood, trying to find the spot. Mind you, people, there was no like, let me pull up my phone on Google Map. There was none of that crap. But anyway, so got to his house, but he always like opened up for us, like letting us know what he's doing. So at the time, I'm thinking like he's into compa only, not realizing, man, he's a beast when it comes to like drums, when it comes to like, and he plays so many different instruments, and at the studio at his house, met his family and everybody. Like, that was dope, man. Like, he never made us feel like, well, nobody knows you guys. Like, I'm traveling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He always welcomed us like we're like his boys, like, in the neighborhood, like, yo, let's crack it, let's do some shit together. So that meant a lot to me. So all these things I've done, with all these people, and that was really up until 2008. And that's when I completely stopped whatever I was doing, because at that point there was a change in everything that I'm doing, and I had to stop the whole music thing. So that all these things happened really, like I said, the story started really in 1999, 2000, but really my music making journey started in 2005 and it stopped in 2008. At that point, I literally sold all my stuff, the M-Box, the computer, everything I had, I literally sold it. That's when I transitioned to more life stuff. And we're talking about, family and career, like school and all that stuff. So I'm gonna skip a good part of that, of my storyline. I'll probably make, another video about my time in the army and all those things. But during my time in the army and all that, I didn't do music whatsoever. I didn't touch music. I didn't look at music. I was not interested in making music. It was more like, let me do the army and let me get my bachelor while I was in the army. So thankfully, with all my army people, my army friends, all their support, man, was amazing, man. It was amazing. I had to, like I said, I would have to make a separate video for that. But anyway, before I left the army, I got my bachelor and I wanted to get into banking, but I realized, man, I had, my time in the army can't give that as an experience to get in banking. So about a year prior, I started trading. I fell in love with trading. So by trading, I realized I could create portfolios even using practice accounts, because they'll tell you what your process is and how you can the same price of the stocks or forex market. You can use the real information. You're just using paper money. So I would start watching people like Jim Cramer on CNBC and all that stuff. Got really involved with those people, with those shows. So I got into making my own portfolio. That's how, right after the military, I was able to use my paper trading experience for my interviews. So quick information about that. Me applying at my first investment banking job, I literally applied. I remember that I had 36 applications because I was applying a lot. When I'm saying applying, I had like at least 200 to 300 applications per week. When I'm applying for a job, I'm heavy on that. I'm like, the more the better. So I was getting a lot of interviews and stuff. So I got offered a position on another company, but finally got a call from that investment company. I thought they just put those jobs available online, but they don't really hire people. That's what I thought. I was like, I had 36 applications. I'm cool with that. And they called me. And they're like, we'd like to have you for an interview. So I went for the interview. And then the next day, I thought I messed up. I was like, man, I'm not going to get this interview. I was so nervous, but I was good. I felt like I prepared enough. But I wanted the job so much that I feel like I messed up completely. But anyway, the next day, the job called me and told me, hey, would like for you to come for 3 more interviews. Are you okay with that? Like 3 more interviews? It's like, yeah, there's 3 different other positions that would like to consider you for. I was like, oh man, yeah, sure. So that's the part. It's an important part of the story, because that's how to show you how 36 applications thinking they don't, I'm just not qualified, or they just not hiring. And that one application that they actually considered me, now they considered me for 3 other jobs. And the lady literally told me, yeah, your resume looks amazing. The managers really think you're qualified for a lot of the entry level positions. And in my head, I didn't want to say that. In my head, I was like, really? Like, I applied like 36 times here. Like, this is the one that you guys are saying, oh, you seem to be qualified. That's the part where, it's for me to tell you guys, sometimes you want something, you keep trying at it. Even if you don't get the result that you want at first, you can get it. Just keep going for it. But anyway, so that led me to enter the investment banking world. So I got the job with them. And then after that job, I went to consumer banking. Then after consumer banking, I'm currently in corporate finance as a financial analyst right now. That's my current day job. But all these little steps that led me here are an important part of what I'm doing right now, because before I went to the Army, I wanted to get into aviation, and it was hard for me to get in, but I did. I found a way to find my way in. Then before you know it, went to school for that, got my associate degree in aviation management. Then wanted to do the military. I'm grateful enough that I was able to do it. Did what I needed to do. Wanted to get into investment banking. I found a way to do it, like by using my paper trading experience, which was not actual experience, but was able to showcase, hey, these are the things I can do. And I managed my own little portfolio. Then have to details the amount, because it was not a lot, but still, it's the concept of it. Then consumer banking, same thing, using my experience from investment banking, qualified me for consumer banking. And then from taking both consumer and investment banking experience, then got me into corporate finance, which I am currently. So I can sit here and say I'm really good at getting into what I need to do and try my best to succeed at it. But at least the mindset, I have a blueprint for what I'm doing. Everything that I'm trying to do, I have a blueprint for it. And I think it's important for anybody, if you're trying to do something, even if people are doubting you or don't think you can do it, make sure you have a blueprint for yourself. It doesn't matter what field that I get in, I have a blueprint for myself. And to summarize that blueprint, if you need me to sell cookies tomorrow and I'm finding some passion, and I'm thinking, wow, the whole cookie thing seems appealing to me. I want to try to do it. Let me try to learn about it. Nowadays, I just go into YouTube. How do you get into the cookie business? How do you succeed in cookie business? What are some of the best companies within cookie business? What's the history of cookie business? And then, how much do you need in order for you to start a cookie business? This is pretty much the blueprint. These 5-6 questions I start asking myself and research on them, then I start. And then if I look into how much you need to start into whatever business, and I see it's a way higher price than I would like to, then I rewind a little bit. And I say to myself, how can you start into that field for free? And if I can find a way to do that, then I start applying it. That's the same thing I'm doing for the whole YouTube thing, for the whole making music thing, for as a recording artist and all that stuff. I try to have a blueprint for myself. Now, my YouTube channel is fairly new, so I can't sit here and say it will succeed. But I want to tell you guys that with my upbringing, getting some little bits and pieces that help my music mindset now is the same thing I'm applying into my music making process now. And it's the same thing that I'm taking from my work experience to actually combine it with that aspect, with the whole concept of having a blueprint for what I'm doing. So there you go. This is my upbringing in Haiti. So I hope anybody that I name drop, I just want to let you know that thank you for everything that you took a part of. Whatever role you played, small, big, you influenced me to where I am now. So I want to thank you. That's really what I want to do. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know it was a lot of talking, but it was just me. No editing, just talking to you guys, all right? So anyway, if this is your first time on this channel, I hope I can earn a subscription from you. So definitely, if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button and that like button, which will help this channel a lot. I have some plans for this channel, and I'm hoping that I can remain consistent. And then we'll see where we go from there. Until then, peace.